Hey guys, Nick from ArchCityPLO.com and Arch City Poker, and in today's video we're going to continue the Poker Facts series, week of March 9th. Obviously this video is a little bit delayed, and there's been a lot of craziness going on in our world with coronavirus. That's part of the reason there's been a lot of craziness with my schedule, but let's, I guess, touch base on that really quick. I'm not a healthcare professional, but I have had players ask me if I'm going to not play live as much or at all right now, if they should play. Be smart. Think about not only your own well-being, but obviously the others that you could affect, and I'll leave it at that. So this channel is meant for you guys to be able to get away from the real world for a minute, focus on your passion of poker, so I want to keep it fun, keep it light. First question, Streets of Value. This was a question asked last week in the comment section, I believe by Greg. And what does it mean? Well, it's in, I guess what it means is in the name of the title of the concept, if that made sense. Streets of Value, how many streets of value is your hand worth? So I'll give you a quick example. Player limps out of position. You raise with King 10 suited. He calls, flops 10-6-4. You guys are really deep. Your hand is probably not worth 3 streets of value, meaning you can't bet flop, turn, and river for value and get your opponent to show a worse hand when you guys go to showdown. So that hand in particular, I would say in that spot, top pair, second kicker, probably worth 1 to 2 streets of value. If the player's more of a station, probably worth 2 streets of value. If he's a little bit nittier, maybe closer to 1 street of value, as they won't call you down for 2 streets unless they probably have better than King 10 in that spot. But it is a concept and a thought that relates to stack to pot ratio. It's really just a way to help you plan your hand out. So next time you have a value hand, think about where you're at in your range. If you're higher up in your range, your hand might be worth 2 to 3 streets of value. If you're in the middle part to maybe slightly below that and you're value betting a little bit wider against the station, your hand is probably worth 1 to 2 streets of value. Second question, debatable c-bet spots. So what if I have a hand that is possibly a mix between check and c-bet? If I don't know what to do, what do I do? Relates to question 1 a little bit as far as when you have value combos. Think to yourself, what would happen if I face a check raise or if I face a raise and I'm out of position? Are you able to play for stacks with this hand? Is it a hand that if you bet and you end up folding to a raise, are you probably folding too much equity? Those are the thoughts you want to keep in mind. If you're bluffing, and it's possibly a debatable bluffing spot, if you feel that you have a weaker opponent, you probably want to increase your bluffing frequencies a little bit. If you have a call station, you probably cut back on it a little bit. And focus on polarizing. So you're betting more hands at the top, betting more hands at the bottom. If you have a hand that you feel is kind of middling in equity, has a little bit of showdown value, a hand that you really just don't raise with, those hands are often ones that you don't want to c-bet with. Hand 3, or sorry, not hand 3, but question 3. Should I play more hands versus fish? Yes, in theory, yes and no. You want to play as many hands as possible with a fish, but if you're in a high rake environment, that is, the rake's going to be your number 1 enemy if it's a high rake environment. So that's what you need to focus on. Now, if you have a fish that's playing every single hand, then obviously you're going to be able to compensate for the rake by winning a lot of money off of that fish, especially if they're a lot deeper, then you do want to play more hands with them. But keep in mind the rake. If it's a low rake environment to no rake environment, if you're playing a home game in a private club, then you probably want to try to play as many hands with said fish as possible. You got to be honest with your own game, though, when you do this. If you don't feel like you have that much of a skill edge, if you don't think you're that great of a player, then you probably want to avoid trying to just constantly get involved in hands just because that player's in the hand. You probably want to keep it a little bit more snug pre-flop, put yourself in a position post-flop to succeed more often by simply just having a stronger range. Question 4, how often should I be going all in? Pretty vague question, but in general, way more often than you guys think. And there's really 2 scenarios where this is going to happen, or where this is going to happen in live low stakes games. One is when you have a call station, you should be going all in a lot more often with a wider value range. And if you have really nitty and or weak tight players, then you want to be bluff shoving all in a lot more often than what you guys would think. Question 5, Should I switch tables if I get sat next to a pro or a known shark? Most of the time, yes. You are there to have fun. You're there to make money. That's not going to happen as often when you're playing with at least one player that's much better than you. However, what I will say is that you guys do want to play with these types of players sometimes because it's a good barometer of where your game's at. If you are looking to improve, then you need to get reps against better players. It's going to force you to bring your game up to the next level. So most of the time, don't play with them. Some of the times, do go ahead and play with them. I think that is a good idea some of the time. If you guys have any questions or comments, go ahead and let me know in the comment section. If you have suggestions for questions that I can answer for next week's series, go ahead and let me know. Click on the link to archcityplo.com. I just added live stream hand reviews for gold members. So I cut clips from live streams from essentially like live low to mid stakes games with unknown players. You get to see the video. Those guys take action. It's not just my own hand histories anymore. So I think that was a very nice addition to the site. And hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks.